Hey mamas, welcome to Breastfeeding Relief with Bethany. We share incredible stories, tips, and breastfeeding ideas to help on your journey. I'm your host, Bethany Laverne, a lactation consultant and speech therapist who helps mamas with breastfeeding. Not all breastfeeding stories are the same, and we dive into those topics. Hi, Allegra. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Awesome. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your kiddos?
Well, I'm an artist and a writer, and I have two beautiful daughters who are 3.5 years apart, who are the light of my life. And I think the reason we're just so close is because when I had my girls, I really wanted to be near them.
Sure.
And I was lucky I could work part-time and not just drop them off anywhere. I was really lucky. And I wanted to nurse my girls.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I was lucky. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm reinventing myself, and I'm very excited about it because the world is my oyster, and I've created with God this amazing family, and I don't look at the all the fear mongering. I really stick to the good stuff in life, and so I'm pretty fortunate to be here today.
Awesome. Why don't you tell us more about your breastfeeding journey with your daughters?
Oh gosh. Well, I knew from the get-go that it was important for me to bond with them in a healthy manner, because I had read a lot about that magical colostrum and how it had all the immunities that my girls needed. And I had experiences with other mothers whose children were always in the doctor's office.
Oh, sure.
And they were always on the amoxicillin and everything. And I didn't want that for my girls. And so my first daughter, had all these high expectations of being the perfect mom. Oh, yeah, right. And so my first daughter had colic for 7 months, and it was a terror. And but I kept trying to nurse her, and she was just so uncomfortable because her little digestive system hadn't really formed yet.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with me and my milk, because I was producing. She was uncomfortable,
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't give up. And finally, my mother kind of stepped in and got a little bossy and said, okay, Allegra, it's time for you to introduce some formula. And I think it's time for you to put a little cereal in that formula. Well, I had such a resentment after her because she was right.
Oh, no, those moms.
And so anyway, I just have to tell you that being close to my girl, there's just nothing like it. And so I took that experience, and I will never forget bringing both of my girls to the beach and not having any trepidation to nurse my girls at the beach. I mean, they were just so happy, joyous, and free. And, it was just exactly what I wanted as a natural mom.
Yeah.
And so my second daughter, oh my God, she loved nursing, and I could take her anywhere. I never had any problems with Sienna. She just, she had her temper tantrums later on.
Sure.
But wait till you hear this one.
Okay.
I nursed her for 2.5 years.
Okay.
She did not want to let go. And to this day, it just blows my mind because she is so centered, calm. She makes her decisions. She researches everything. and she just doesn't let life get lifey in her. She just she's very centered. And I'm convinced that it's all of that nurturing early on. And because Bethany, I used to go to play dates and I used to take my girls. Bethany, those play dates were amazing because I could see which mothers were nursing and which weren't, because those mothers that weren't nursing, their kids were just like, you couldn't even get their first name. They were just just off the charts. They had no focus. So anyway, I'm just so fortunate that I stuck with it because now that my girls are older, all that love and nurturing is coming back.
Awesome.
And what better story is that? I mean, really, I just feel just so grateful for that.
Yeah. And that's what I really want these mamas to hear, that not every journey is the same. You had 2 daughters and even both your daughters were different. And some days you were crying, I used to use the burp cloth and be crying, and be like, oh, I can't do this another day. And then 2 hours later, you're doing it again. And you're like, okay, that's fine, because your emotions are all over the place. And so, there are days you want to give up, but, like you said, it's really good to have a support group behind you and go to those play dates or lactation groups and to just share and say, this is what's going on. And for someone else to say, oh, me too, sister. And you're like, great. I'm glad I'm not the only one. And it's easier to go to your next nursing session or make it to the next day.
Yes, absolutely. And I just, even at night, I just remember at night, there'd be one of them would have a nightmare or something. And I wouldn't think twice of nursing them again and then having them go to sleep. It was just the most wonderful connection that's still working today. And, in that relationship, because it's honesty, it's humor, it comes back to you. And that is what better news is that? Yeah.
I did enjoy, you hate and enjoy at the same time, the middle of the night. You get that one-on-one time, it's quiet. You get all the snuggles. And at the same time, you're like, I'm so tired. I just want to be in bed. But I will say, mamas, when you get older, you miss it. My son had a night terror the other night. And so I was up in the middle of the night with him. We don't nurse anymore, but it's still, it was nice to go in and comfort him and be with him for a little bit to calm him back down.
Yeah. And I think the thing that was most painful for me was, those first couple of weeks was painful. But I remember a friend of mine said, well, Allegra, why don't you try a little bit of the vitamin E on your nipple and just try it. And so I did that with a towel that was, freshly laundered. And I did it and I rubbed it and it helped strengthen it a little bit for me. And I remember how grateful I was, because it did hurt. I mean, come on, let's tell the truth here. But, after a while, I didn't even think twice. And another thing I didn't do, Bethany, was I didn't research the food I was eating.
Okay.
And, I realized in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have had all that broccoli,
I thought you were going to say Oreos.
And right. I was definitely into the Oreos. But, there are just certain things that, we can't stay away from so that that doesn't get transferred to guests into them. And, so there are things that we can really educate ourselves with, which is so good, which I know you're going to do because you're so on fire and thorough.
Oh. I know in my last summit, which people can look up, that I always have not lactation dietitians speak about food and good food while you're pregnant and then after you're pregnant, and also increasing your milk. So there's lots of good advice out there that you can follow, which are wonderful, or you can work with them and they'll even create menus for you or food diets. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and share with us what helped facilitate your breastfeeding being so easy?
I guess I'm just a hands-on kind of woman, and I'm willing to take risks. And I'm compassionate and empathetic, and I really just want to bring the best to people's experience. I'm just a giver, and I really want to provide the very best I can, especially for my kids, but also other kids and other parents and other mothers. It's like I like exchanging positive information for happier people. I really wanted to do it, where some women, they don't even think about it. I think they're just really fearful, that they won't have enough milk and that they won't be able to withstand some of that pain.
Sure.
And, that their breasts might change and, and they to have that commitment, you really have to turn your body over, to somebody else.
Yeah, it's a big commitment.
It is. And I can see why women today would kind of hold back. But I think there's a resurgence of going back to the earth and, kind of rethinking your priorities. Yeah. And so this is like the best ever.
Yeah, we call those crunchy moms nowadays. So the moms that want to have, home births or no medications, do breastfeeding, do baby-led weaning, make their own food. Yeah, we're calling those crunchy moms.
Well, I'm not that crunchy. I was in a hospital, but
yeah. Why don't you tell us what was one of your favorite breastfeeding products you ever used?
The products that I used, I never pumped.
Okay.
So I really can't think right now. I think
she's going to say vitamin D.
Yeah, but the vitamin D and the E, that really helped me a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And and also I wanted you to know the rocking chair that I had did not work for me.
Okay.
It was too big for me. I needed a smaller chair.
Okay.
And so I got a smaller rocking chair that fit me real good.
Oh, awesome.
And so that was, I had a nice cushion on it. I had an extra blanket for the baby and I, so that was important, that it fit better for me.
I agree. Yeah. You're going to be spending a lot of time nursing. So get a good chair and grab your water next to you. And I used to have a whole bunch of snacks next to me too. So.
Yes. And Bethany, another thing I wanted to say is that I was taught, by my pediatrician to put my baby, after I nursed her, on her tummy with her little head bit, And nowadays, women are shocked. They're like, what did you do? Nothing ever happened to them, They slept really well. But so anyway, today, I guess that's a no-no.
Yeah. I would do that with my son while he was like napping, but I watched him the whole time because I was super nervous that he would die of SIDS or something. And so his naps, he enjoyed sleeping on his belly because I was like watching him. But at night, I did put him on his back.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there any way these mamas can connect with you?
Absolutely. Allegra Harrington at gmail.com. I would love to, share whatever with them.
Okay.
It was the best experience I had really as a young mother. Just the best.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time. Thank you so much for listening in. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much if you would share it with another mama or post on social media and tag me. I want to personally thank you for wanting to help other mamas. You got this. I'm rooting for your breastfeeding journey.